This is Restless by Design. Before we begin, I just want to say this is a place to slow down, to notice what's just beneath the surface. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Chapter 17, Staying with Yourself. Not everything needs to be solved, but it does need to be stayed with. Oh my goodness, we are on to the final chapter, and I just want to say that this entire book is meant to be listened to or read over and over again as much as you need. It's like a buddy. It's like, oops, I'm stuck today. Let me just open this to a random page and perhaps it can give me some relief or a different way to frame the way that I'm thinking about this problem. Okay, so here we are. Staying with yourself. So there's this point when the focus begins to shift. It's away from the situation itself. It's away from the outcome itself. It's away from trying to resolve everything at once. And we're shifting towards something quieter. And it's been there all along. Yourself. Not dramatically. Not in this way that requires a full redefinition or a reintroduction or renovation of self. This is just the subtle awareness that you have always been there. It's the relationship that you have with yourself that matters more than how quickly things are making sense. Because as we've talked about, life doesn't move in clean lines, correct? It can be really all over the place, very disjointed, and things change, things end, sometimes before we want them to, and things end up always beginning again. But sometimes it's not always easy to follow. So in all of that movement, it can be really easy to lose connection. Yes, connection with self, that little voice within. To start to move faster than what you're actually feeling, to override what's happening internally in order to keep things functioning externally. That instinct works for a while. I think of it as someone who always has a great idea immediately, someone who's wonderful at improv, for instance, or hysterically funny. So that instinct is beautiful, but it can't apply to every situation, right? So if we are to live in that place, over time, it creates distance, not from the world, but from yourself. And that distance is quiet. And you don't always notice it right away. It shows up in small ways. So there will just be these little moments of dissonance, right? A lack of presence, a sense of disconnection. Sometimes for me, it shows up where, what was I saying? What do I actually think of that? Wait, hold on. How did we get here? Moments where you realize you're moving through something, but you're not fully inside of it, right? You're not engaged fully. You are not integrated. Your authentic self is not showing up. And this shift is not always external because we have a lot of thoughts going on in our mind. And the moment that you begin to come back, to notice, to stay, even when it's not easier to, because staying with yourself is not always comfortable. Totally aware of that. But it means feeling what's there without rushing past it, or thinking of what's there without rushing past it, without trying to fix it immediately, without reducing it into something easier to manage, or defaulting back into an inherited belief, something that your parents always told you, a teacher always told you, or just ways that you talk to yourself that honestly aren't that productive. But this requires a different kind of steadiness, and it's not control and it's not certainty. It is just presence. And yes, we could go to mindfulness, we can start talking about meditation, etc. But what I'm really talking about is an attitude. It's a willingness to remain, even when things are unclear, even when they're unresolved, even when they don't fit into a clean conclusion. I will say this plainly, there is no arrival. And that's not a warning, it's a relief. Because if nothing is ever finished, then nothing is ever truly lost either. We are always in motion, always processing, always becoming something slightly different than you were before. And when things feel unclear, they probably are. Not because something is wrong, but because something is moving. And it's not confusion, but this is where I believe the work is. So you come back to this, to yourself, again and again. And it's not to find the answer, but it's to find your footing. And that's enough. And the application of this can look like various things. Oh, I'm in the middle of the grocery store and I just grabbed the bananas because I always grab the bananas and I always grab 4. What if I paused and I went, I actually only need 3. That's a micro moment. That's not anything overly serious or dramatic. It's just, I was on autopilot for a second and now I can come back and I can formulate a new opinion about the bananas. Or do I even want bananas? It's the idea that we are not fixed. We are not finished. We are just here, still in it. And that's the whole thing. So where all of this was guiding us to, I've discovered, is a theory that I have called the gap theory. Here's the framework. There is a space between what happens and what you decide it means. Just sit with that for a second. Again, often we jump to conclusions. We go straight into an inherited belief system or a previous way of doing things. And it's bringing us away from ourselves. It's bringing us away from asking new questions. And I believe that if we can be more aware of that space and even stretch it to just be a little bit longer, be a little more curious in there, we can move to observing what is actually happening rather than moving straight to judgment. And these two happen so close together that most people experience them as one event, but they're not. There is a seam, and the gap lives in that seam. And this isn't to claim that judgment is bad. Judgment is how you move through a day. It's how you decide what's safe, worth your time, who to trust. I believe the problems arise when you've lost the ability to notice that you're doing it, which means you've lost the ability to question it. And that's what the gap gives back. Not the absence of judgment, the choice of it. And the gap is not a technique. It's a location. You either notice you're standing in it or you don't. The gap is small, but what it protects is not. Clarity, self-trust, creative intelligence. Our urgency often is a collapsing force. I understand this is abstract, and how do we go about employing this in our day-to-day lives? Because there are so many situations that we run into, whether they are deeply emotional to us, a work problem, something more mundane, just a habit we are trying to break. This theory is applicable to all of life. And this needs to be said early and said once clearly. This theory is not about becoming a better version of yourself. It's not a system for optimizing your reactions, healing your patterns, or unlocking anything. So if you're looking for a plan to follow, this isn't going to be it. Self-help sells resolution. It says, here's what's wrong with you, here's how to fix it, follow these steps, and you'll arrive somewhere better. The gap, it doesn't work that way. Because the gap isn't a problem to solve. It's a fact about how perception works. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. What you do with it is yours.